Hey everybody, Kimberly here, and I can't wait to tell you about One Page War. This is a two-player war game that you can play in under half an hour, and all you need is a pencil and eraser, or I like to do dry erase and contact paper, and one six-sided die. You sit across the table from your opponent, rolling a die and entering a number into one of 5 different theaters. You've got espionage, politics, sea, air, and land. And at the end of the game, you will evaluate who won in the most of these arenas, and you hope that you've bested your opponent. And it is just like in Shot and Totten and Battle Lines. So when the designer wrote me and said, hey, I've got this one-page print and play war game, and I was like, yes, I'm listening. And it's like Battle Line. I'm like, sold. I love Battle Line. And if you know that game and you're familiar with that game, One Page War is just right for you. So I'm just going to jump right into it because that's the best way to learn this game is by playing it. So I've got a die here. I'm going to be the start player. I'm going to roll this die and I'm going to place it in my corner. You'll see here that there are pips. There's little dice pictured. That means that you always know whose turn it is, and that's really, really helpful because in this game, what you're going to do as the active player is you're going to write in the number 6 in any of these spaces. And what you want is 5 of a kind is the best. You're going to have 5 of a kind available here in politics only. There are some 4 of a kinds, which is the next best. You're going to have your 3 of a kinds, and then it goes down to straight 2 pairs, 1 pair, and nothing. And so much like that battle line, you're playing cards into your particular column to win it. You don't have to limit this to just 3. You have a 4 and a 5 opportunity, and you're only fighting politics versus politics, sea versus sea, air versus air. So I take a 6 and I put it in any space. I am going to do a 6 in espionage. Yeah. Now I'm putting a 6 there, hoping I get another 6 and another 6, because that is the highest that I can get in espionage to win this column. And players want to win the most columns at the end of the game. So I do this. That means that my opponent has to place a 6 in any of the other 4 spaces. They can't pick espionage. They have to pick politics, sea, air, or land. And so let's just say we've got, I'm writing upside down, they'll write correctly, but for us to see, I can't write upside down. I'm going to put 6 there. He says, I want to play in sea. I'm going to get a really good run here, or I'm going to get 4 6s. Whatever it is, I think sea is where I want to be. And that's it. So the reason you have to be careful with this die is because once someone writes, they then are going to take the die and they're going to be the roller. So you'll kind of get out of sorts if you don't put the die on the corner and just remind each other of that. So that's it. We're just going to roll. This is a new round. They roll. They pick 4. Now 4 doesn't necessarily work with C unless you want to just go straight to a straight. So I think they're probably going to write 4 in another location. Not in espionage because, again, 4 can't compete with 3 6s unless I don't get my 3 6s. So let's say a straight looks really promising in politics because there are 5 there. It's really hard to get, like a lot of the same number unless, of course, we roll it. Now, it doesn't matter where your numbers go. That could say 4, 3, 5, 1, 2. If they're all there to make a straight, they don't have to be written in the straight. They can just be in there. So don't worry about where you put the number. That's fine. So now I can't put my 4 in politics. Where am I going to put my 4? Sea or air? I think I'm going to start over here in air because I don't want to compete with that 6 over there in sea. You're going to keep doing this until you complete an area that allows you to get the bonus. What that means is on your turn, when you write a number and you have the option of using a power, you can use the power. And you can only have 1 power per turn it's time for you to write. So when you're writing a number, that's when you get to use the power. But the crazy thing too is these are collective uses. So there's not 3 for my opponent and 3 for me in air raid. There are 3 total. And if I fill in this airspace and I want to use air raid, I use it and check it off, but also check off 1 on their side, which means there are only 2 more possible uses of air raid. It's just the coolest. So let's take another turn or two and see how well we do. It's my turn because the die was over here. So I'm going to roll this die. And I got a 6. Look at this. I'm definitely espionaging, which is my progressive, present progressive of espionage. I am spying. I am spying so hard, and I'm really excited. That's going to be great, because then I can start using stolen intel. All right, so where does he want to put his 6? Is he going to bank on C and getting a bunch of C6s? I think he might. Okay, his turn. He rolls. Oh, dang it. He rolled 6, but if he doesn't take espionage, now this is really cool. Like, this is an interesting strategy. He might take espionage with a 6, knowing that I would not be able to take the 6 in espionage, as opposed to advancing for C. Now, the opponent that I generally play battle line with, or these kind of 2-player war games with, we generally play for ourselves until it makes sense for us to play against our opponent. So I'm going to play with that rule. Now, that's not everybody's rule, and it doesn't mean that they wouldn't do it in espionage. I just want you to see the possibilities here of blocking your opponent if you roll a die that you think they really need. He rolls 6 and says, I really want to get over there. I say I want to get over here. Now, I can't activate stolen intel until I start to write a number and I have filled in all of my numbers already. But stolen intel says copy an enemy number in the same arena instead of using the dice. So I could, he would roll a 4, and I could look at C and say, I want to use C in that arena because that's what you have is a 6. And it's a way for you to kind of nab a number that you didn't roll and that you haven't had the chance to use yet. So stolen intel's good, but he is well on his way to getting redeployment. Swap 2 numbers in adjacent arenas. That's good. Now, you always are just doing stuff in your own arena. You're never allowed to do anything in somebody else's. You're only affecting yours. So that was his 6 roll, and now I can use stolen intel if I want. That's really, really cool. I rolled a 3. Where am I putting my 3? Am I already giving up on air and going for the straight? Which is not a bad thing. It's really hard to get just all the same number here. Or should I start a new area? I'm going to start land. I want to start land, and maybe I can get some more 3s. Maybe I can adjust one number up or down by 1 for armored support. That's amazing. That's so good. So where's he going? That's not land. He might want to throw some numbers. Like, whenever you're playing these kinds of games, sometimes you see that someone has surpassed you. I got all 6s here. There's nothing that's going to beat this. There is a way to tie, and if you tie, then nothing happens. It pushes. But he might say that espionage is a foregone conclusion. He's just going to say, you can have it. I'm going to throw my trash numbers into there. Or he can start air. And air would be 3 against a 4. He would really need to make sure he would get all the 3s before I would get all the 4s. So let's say he hasn't given up on espionage. He's not going to throw trash numbers in there. He's going to just put 1 in there. Now, when I wrote my number, I could copy an enemy number in the same arena, but there was no number in land. So I couldn't have taken his from there. I could have said instead of a 3 here, I could take a 6 in C, or I could have gone here and taken a 4. But I said, I don't want to use it. I don't think he's going to get it so fast that it's going to sneak out from underneath me. All right, here he goes. And he rolled a 4, which is really good for him. And it's good for me with land. I think he's going to keep going in politics. It's really hard to get 5 of a kind, but if he does win politics with 5 of a kind, that's very impressive. And then I will take that 4 in air raid. Okay, my turn. 1. Where's the 1 go? Should I say 1 is in land? is one where land goes, and then it would force him to put a 1 in one of these areas. Maybe that's a really good idea. Start doing a straight. And if I get there first, if I finish land and I get my 2 in that space, I can start using armored support before he does, and I can eat them all up, and I could adjust one number up or down by 1. That's really good. All right, so he has to go over here. Is he going to say this is a... If he says this is a run, I'm really pressed to get my 4s. Maybe he wants to put the pressure on me. Let's have him put the pressure on me. I don't think that... I think it's going to be really hard to do. Okay. He takes the die, and he got a 2. He sees that I want to get my land. I want to finish this out. I want to get a straight. And he says, no way, Jose. Or he says, I'm going for a straight here. And if I get a 2, all I need is a 4. And I can start using air raid, he thinks, way before I start using that. Which, you know, again, play for yourself. But now I have access to armored support. I have access to espionage. He has no access to nothing. This is the game. This is it. Back and forth. And let me show you what allies, redeployment, and air raid do. Ally says mark one arena with an S. In the marked arena, straights beat everything. So my espionage that I thought was solid, was going to win for sure, he could get politics and then say, no. My 1, 2, 3 over here beats yours. He could say his air 1, 2, 3, 4 beats my 4, 4, 4, 4. So that's a way to really sneak in and change the hierarchy of winning an arena. Redeployment, swap 2 numbers in adjacent arenas. Air raid, after writing the current number, also use it to replace another number in your own space. Wow, these are so good, and you will find that as the game continues and everything starts to tighten and you have fewer and fewer spaces to go, the harder it is. And that rule of when you're the active player saying, I go here, you have to go somewhere else, is just the right amount of tension and friction to create so much drama. This is a really, really clever, smart, fast war game that works. It works so well. I think it's smart. I think it's very, very well designed. It's so easy to play because you put the paper in between you and you each have your own side, and each side even has its own design, which I love. This is the side I like to play on because I really like her. I really like what she's up to. She looks absolutely amazing. But you have down here the reminder of what you do. And again, you can activate any of your sections, your special actions, just once, but when you write down any number is when you get to do it. Again, so clean, so lovely. I think this is just a real, real gem that you should find, print, and play on your own. All right, everybody, I'll see you later. Thanks for joining me.